In recognition of the efforts of the people of Canada towards truth and reconciliation, and to acknowledge the upcoming Day of Truth and Reconciliation in Canada, I'd like to read the following land dedication. I'll apologize in advance if I mispronounce a name. It certainly is unintentional. The Midland Sports Hall of Fame recognizes that it is located on land which is the traditional and treaty territory of the Anishinaabe people, now known as the Chippewa Tri-Council, comprised of Beausoleil First Nation, Rama First Nation, and the Georgina Island First Nation. This territory is within the Pre-Confederation Treaty 5 and Treaty 16 and included within the Williams Treaties of 1923. The Midland Sports Hall of Fame recognizes that it is located on land which is the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat and the historic homelands of the Métis, and that our town is home to a large and diverse community of Indigenous peoples. Thank you.
So we have a slide here I'd just like to share with you a little bit. It's the 30th year, as it says on your programs and everything, and we're, you know, lots of tough times, lots of happy times for the group of people that got us this far. And so for the people that started way back 30 years ago, I'd just like to pay a little tribute to them. And so the names are there. Buzz Desha, he's here. We got Chester Graham in the red, in case you haven't missed him. Tom Broder, Gord Smith, Bruce McElray, Joe Farragher, Bob Merkley, Brian McKell, Ross Heacock, Paul Rebo, and Brian Peter. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for me to announce our guest speaker. Please welcome, with an Olympic applause, Angela.
Everyone. This coat is the one of the coats from the 1988 Winter Olympics, which I will be speaking about tonight. So I thought I'd wear it, and I'm going to hang it right here. So, well, here we are. Whew. You know, I know almost everyone in this room. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And thank you so much. I am so happy and honored to be here tonight as your guest speaker. Thank you, Todd. Where are you? There you are. Thank you, Todd, and all the committee members for asking me to come here tonight. I also want to thank Ron Hunt, who so kindly and generously helped me with the nomination portfolios for both Dawn and Joey, and who has helped me prepare for this presentation. And I would like to thank my nieces, Alex Whitley and Carmen Mafar, who helped me so selflessly and so tirelessly with this slideshow. There is no way I could have done this without them. And I think you'll enjoy it. Now, I cannot pretend that I am at all comfortable up here doing this presentation, because I am definitely not a professional speaker or presenter, so please bear with me as I find my flow. My intention here tonight is to present to you something that I'm very proud of, and hopefully most everyone here will enjoy. First off, we are all here to honor and celebrate all the inductees here tonight. It's about you. Welcome and congratulations to all of you. Secondly, and if I get emotional, give me a moment. Secondly, it is an extra special evening for me to be presenting tonight. not only because I was inducted here almost 3 decades ago, but also I am so excited and so proud to be a part of this evening because there are 2 very special people being inducted here tonight together. My son, Joey Foster, and his father, Donnie Foster. Before I get into telling you about some of the experiences I have had as an elite cross-country ski racer, I want to share a little bit about Donnie and Joey. First, Donnie Foster. Donnie is here tonight receiving recognition for community builder and as my coach. As a lifelong builder in our community for the last 50 years plus, he has become a beloved icon and is known as the owner of Foster's Farm and Mountain View Ski Area, which has been and still is an awesome mainstay for year-round outdoor activity for our community and beyond. It was a downhill ski resort for many decades, but is now solely a cross-country ski venue with 40 kilometers of gorgeous trails through beautiful forests and fields, and it is still one of my most favorite places to ski. For coaching, Donnie has not only supported many up-and-coming athletes over the years through the many programs and events held at Mountain View, he was also my personal coach for the 16 years that I was on the national cross-country ski team. We started off as fellow athletes. You can laugh. As fellow athletes, training and racing on the Ontario ski team, and as I embarked on the national team, it was only natural that he became and remained my personal coach for my entire skiing career. From 1978, obviously the numbers, make sure I'm on track here. From 1978 to 1992, Don joined me not only as my personal coach at international races, but also as an assistant coach for the National Cross Country Ski Team, which took us both to 5 World Championships in Canada, Norway, Germany, Finland, and Italy, 3 Olympic Games in Yugoslavia, Canada, and France, and in those 12 years, he joined us on the World Cup circuit all over Europe and in North America. Donnie helped me to many victories and high-level performances and finishes. He was an excellent coach and still is an expert in waxing and tuning skis. And for the many people who know, love, and respect Donnie, know that he is kind and generous and is the quiet, silent, and very strong type, which definitely helped him persevere the intense, determined, and sometimes impossible personality that he had to endure with me more than I am certain he would have liked to. All in all, it was a fantastic journey and an adventure together. And Donnie, I am forever grateful for the many hours of help and contribution you gave to me over the years towards my successful skiing career, as my coach, my friend, and my partner. You are always and will be, you are and always will be a lifelong cherished friend. Thank you. And now for Joey Foster, our son. As parents, we can be biased about our children. But for many of us here that know Joey quite well, we can all agree that he is quite an outstanding person all around. Joey made a serious commitment to cross-country ski competition in 2010 at age 14, competing with the Penetang Secondary School team, coached by Danielle DeRoche, and with the Midland Ski Club, coached by Tim Burry. Joey's head coach for most of his skiing years was Ron Howden from Barrie. 3 years later, at age 17, he was ranked second in the country for his age group and competed at the Junior Nationals in Whistler, BC. He rose to top levels of cross-country ski competition in the years following to 2017, where he won 4 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze medals as a member of the Canadian Junior National Ski Team. He represented Canada at the World Junior Championships in Romania, and at that time he was ranked as one of the top under 20 male skiers in Canada. He competed for Canada at the World Cup finals in Quebec City and raced international events in Norway, Sweden, and USA. I have a quote here from our friend and one of the top chiropractors in this area, Dr. Bill Cameron, saying, "As an elite athlete, I can honestly say that Joey is one of the finest, most talented, and purely gifted athletes I have ever had the privilege to work with. Joey is the only athlete to date that ever tested perfectly on my high-level movement screen testing. Less than 1% of the population is capable of this. His ability to move, including mobility, flexibility, strength, and coordination, is exceptional in every way." End quote. Not only am I proud of Joey for all of his athletic accomplishments, I am also very proud of the person he is. His personality personifies genuine honesty, integrity, intelligence, lightheartedness, kindness, and totally fun to be around. That's him in the red. Joey, we love you, and we are also very proud of you. Thank you. As for myself, I was inducted to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame in 1996 for representing Midland in Canada on the national cross-country ski team for 16 years. I competed in 4 Olympics, 5 World Championships, and raced 12 years on the World Cup circuit. In 1987, I had my best placing overall World Cup ranking, placing 20th in the world. And my best placing overall was 3rd in the 1987 pre-Olympic World Cup race in Canmore, Canada. I was able to hold the top Canadian women title for 10 of those 16 years and top North American women title for 2 of those years. We've handed out a card with the outline of my skiing career to each of you, well, just one per family, I'm sure, and for you to have as a reference if you'd like. I was asked here tonight, in Todd's words, to share some of my stories about the joys and excitements of the highs and the anguish and the sufferings of the lows of elite racing. So, I will begin at the beginning. How did it all start? Now, don't worry. This won't be all drawn out and boring, I promise you. These first few details are relevant for the whole story, okay? I was born in Woodstock, Ontario. And when I was 10, my mom and dad bought a cottage resort up in Honey Harbor. I went to a 2-room public school there, and when I was in grade 7 and 8, our teacher and the principal of the school was Barry Bowers. He decided to start up a running club just because he wanted to get into shape. And I decided to join the cross-country running team just because, well, I simply had a crush on him. It's true. And I just wanted to hang out with him more. And that was the humble beginning of my athletic life. In those 2 years, we got up to running 5 miles, not kilometers, every noon hour, every day. And by the end of grade 8, he told me that he called Midland Secondary School and told them that he was sending them a star runner. I had no idea what he was talking about. I wasn't even aware that I had this talent he spoke of. So it wasn't even in my radar that I had dreams to become an Olympic athlete or even to go to an Olympic Games. All I knew was that it made me feel very nervous. Arriving in grade 9, I joined the cross-country running team where I entered my very first running competition. Actually, my very first competition ever. The coach at that time was Elmer Vormacki. Maybe some of you here will remember him. I had to keep my dad in there too. He's passed away. The event was held in Sunnyside Park in Barrie. The race was 2 kilometers long, and I was a nervous wreck. Every 5 minutes or so, I would run over to Elmer and ask him, how long until the race starts? And he would just smile and pat me on the shoulder and patiently say, you have another 10 minutes, just keep warming up. Well, there I was at the start line. And if you can imagine one of those race dogs that are waiting for that gate to open up so they could just take off like a bat out of hell, well, that was me. And when that gun went off, I took off so fast it was like I was a fox being chased by the hunting dogs, never looking back, running like my life depended on it. And when I crossed that finish line, there was Elmer, with his hands on his hips and just shaking his head in bewilderment. And I ran up to him, and he kindly and gently said to me, turn around, Angela, take a look. So I did, and there was no one in sight for quite a few minutes. I had no idea. Then the wintertime came around, and Elmer, being the cross-country skiing coach as well, said to me, why don't you go up to Mountain View Ski Hills and get Donnie Foster to lend you a pair of cross-country skis just to try it out and see if you like it. You can learn to cross-country ski and race through the winter to help keep you in shape for track and field in the spring. So I did. And that's when I met Donnie Foster. He was a top senior man on the Ontario cross-country ski team at that time, and I was just starting out at the age of 14. Now, this next picture, I couldn't resist it, okay? Classic Donnie. I love it. Well, my first cross-country ski race was scheduled. And the only cross-country skis that I had at that time was my mother's 4-inch wide wooden skis with the 3-prong bindings on them and the ankle-high touring ski boots. Anyone remember these? The high school ski race was held in Collingwood, and it just so happened to have very little snow on the course, and the trail was packed hard and icy, especially around the corners. And if anybody knows what those wooden touring skis were like back then, in 1974, then you would know that they have absolutely no edges. And I also had very little training up until then on cross-country skis, so you can imagine what is about to happen, I'm sure. When that gun went off, there I was, like that fox being chased by those hunting dogs, and I was going to make those boards and poles work for me no matter what. But around every corner of that course, I was laid flat out like Bambi on the ice, thanks to those rounded edges. But I kept picking myself back up as quickly as I could, only to be back down again on the very next corner. I was probably pretty close to last, if not last. And there was Elmer at the finish line. And he put his hand on my shoulder and kindly said, we will get Donnie to get you better skis for the next race. Okay, Angela? I loved Elmer Vormacki. By the time I was 16, 2 years later, in 1976, I made the Ontario team and the junior national ski team. 2 years after that, I went to my first Junior World Championships in 1978, which were held in Mont Saint Anne, Quebec, where I placed 17th in the world and was top Canadian junior woman. Then, in 1980, when I turned senior, at the ripe old age of 20 years old, I qualified for my first Olympic Games in Lake Placid, New York, where I placed 23rd and was top Canadian woman. Yeah, thank you. My next two stories take place in 1987, where the pre-Olympic World Cup race was being held in Canmore, Alberta, and where the 1988 Winter Olympic Games were being held the following year. In 1987, we had the best results for the entire cross-country men's and women's ski team to date. The women's relay team placed second. That was the first time ever for a silver medal for a Canadian relay team. The men's relay team placed sixth in the world, best placing. Pierre Harvey and I were ranked the top female and male skiers in Canada, both having had a number of top 15 places in the World Cup race circuits over the previous years. Pierre's best placing in the World Cup race was in Labrador City, 1985, where he placed 4th. As for myself, my best placing happened right here in Canmore at the 1987 Pre-Olympic World Cup race, where I finished 3rd in the 10-kilometer World Cup Classic event. That result made Canadian history that day, becoming the first Canadian female or male to ever finish in the top 3 placings in a World Cup or international event. Back in the day, yes, it was back in the day. But it was a spectacular day for me. It was so amazing and fun. It was such a fantastic feeling that I'm going to tell you about it. Coming into the World Cup race event 5 days before the race, I was actually feeling under the weather. I had this bronchial cough. I felt out of sorts, and I was just taking it easy, trying to recover before the race, and I went out for a walk and came across the Therapeutic Treatment Center for the Olympic athletes, where they gave massages and other services needed to help tune up the athletes. I had never had a massage before then, so I thought I'd check it out. I walked in and met this lovely therapist in her 60s. Her name was Mike Hungerford. She was the head of the facility. She took one look at me and said, "How can I help you?" I told her how I was feeling and that I had a race in 2 days and didn't know if I was going to be able to race well enough. She said, "You come back to me and see me tomorrow and I'll fix you up and you will have the best race of your life." What? Well, how could I pass that up? So I said, "Okay, I'll be here." Well, the treatment that she gave me was amazing. She didn't just give me a massage. She also gave me an energy work treatment that realigned and balanced my whole system back out, which actually gave me my energy back. The very next day was the race, and guess what? I had the best race of my life, placing 3rd and making history. And wow, what an experience. And because of her, I am now a massage therapist and energy worker for the last 19 years, and I am in my 60s now. So that's kind of fun. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you about the race. If you have ever heard about or experienced a peak performance race, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. It is an out-of-this-world experience. It's when your body, mind, and spirit are at one. You are at a peak. You are flying through that race with absolutely no effort, no pain, if you can believe that. Well, that day I was flying. Every corner, every uphill, every downhill. In fact, there was a tricky downhill in this course that everyone was talking about. They put a jump in the middle of a pretty fast downhill, and then to top it off, just after landing the jump, if you did land it, they decided to put a corner off to the right just after it, just to add a little more challenge to the race, of course. This was about 6 Ks into the 10K course, and there was no time to lose focus. I came to that jump, and when you're performing in peak state, everything just flows. You had to keep low and tucked pretty tight when you hit that jump to be able to land it effectively, and then instantly you had to be ready to make that turn pretty darn quick. Luckily, it wasn't too sharp of a turn, but it was a corner to reckon with when hitting it with that kind of speed, that is for sure. And I nailed it. And when things go smooth like that, it just keeps getting smoother and smoother and better and keeps building so positively that the rest of the race was like magic. I felt like I was skiing a foot off the ground and flying through the air with no effort whatsoever, making time and speed right to that finish line. I was so surprised to see everyone so excited at that finish line, and when they told me I had placed 3rd, I was exhilarated. It was and still is such a fantastic feeling. The highs are always the most fun part of everything, right? Of anything. And there were many of them, believe me. But also there were many lows. You know, those experiences that are supposed to build character and strength and insight and acceptance, but not before enduring the heartbreaks and pure letdowns and the deep disappointment of not reaching your goals or desired outcome when you really want them the most. Would you agree? I'm sure every one of us here has experienced this at some point and at some level in your life, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, for one of the biggest lows and disappointments of my career was at the 1988 Canadian Olympic Games in Canmore. Yes, you heard it right. Our Canadian Olympic Games ended up being the biggest low of my skiing career. And I'm going to tell you why. As I said, 1987 was one of the best years ever for the whole entire team, 6 women and 6 men. And we entered the 1988 season just as strong. We were all looking forward to and so excited to be competing at an Olympic Games in our very own country. And just coming from a spectacular year of racing the year before, we were still building great momentum to the Games, which were being held in February that winter. In this sport, it's natural to keep building strong from year to year. If you play the training and racing ratio right, the balance is everything. And it was going great. We had lots of public relations going on, building up to the Olympics. We did lots of traveling and many interviews to help build the Olympic profile excitement. And yes, it was fun and super memorable. Look at that hair. Huh? Anyways, however, a few things started to happen. The Canadian Championships were being held in Thunder Bay 2 weeks prior, the week before the Olympics. In those 2 weeks, we had the same series of races that we would have to race at the Olympic Games, which consists of 4 races within a 2-week span. The women's races consisted of a 5, 10, 20K, and a 5K relay event. And yes, the men's races consisted of a 10, 15, 50K, and a 10K relay event. Yes, that was our schedule. And to top it off, the weather decided to stay very cold in Thunder Bay, and we were racing between -18 and -24 degrees Celsius without calculating the wind chill factor into it, which made it even colder. What else would you expect from Thunder Bay, eh? So it was double taxing to our systems, and naturally we would need more time to recover. Regardless of that, we all had great results at these Canadian Championships because we were still a hot team moving and grooving towards the Canadian Olympic Games. Yay, right? Pierre Harvey and I pre-qualified the year before to race every race at the Olympics, so we were all set up just to prepare and recover well after the Canadian Championships and wait for the Games to start. For those of you who don't know, at an Olympic Games, every country is only allowed to enter their top 4 racers in each race. So 3 out of the 5 remaining women and men on our ski team still had to be chosen. Who was going to be racing in the races at the Olympic Games? And this is where it started to get a little more messy. Our coaches could have easily used the races from the Canadian Championships to pick who qualified for the remaining 3 spots and be done with it. But, oh no, our administrative team, head coach, and coach decided to get a little cocky, or should I say, a little overenthusiastic to be more polite. And they ended up, in my opinion, making an inexperienced and very poor decision at the last minute and at the expense of the athletes. This decision ended up compromising the athletes' performances and jeopardized the upcoming Olympic results that we all worked so hard for and were looking forward to accomplish. Big mistake. And I'm going to tell you why. What they decided to do was put in another training race in the middle of the week just before the Olympics and just after the 2 weeks of a hard and full-on race schedule in Thunder Bay. At an average of -22 degrees, which the official cutoff temperature is supposed to be -20, with the wind chill factor included, which it was not. I still feel a little angry about this sometimes. And as for the athletes, this extra race was just another hard effort to be put out just days after all those races and just days prior to the Olympic races, which hardly gave us any time for a proper recovery and preparation time. In my opinion, I really felt that this was just not a good idea. And then, to top it all off, the coaches said, we need to make this decision politically correct. And, oh, fair to the other athletes, so we're going to make Pierre and Angela race it too, even though they are already qualified. What? I nearly died. What are you doing? Not only did Pierre and I need the proper break to prepare for the upcoming races of our lives, and for us to have every opportunity to get the results we came to the Olympics for, so did all of our other teammates. Well, they made us all race, and unfortunately, it was more than a detrimental race. That afternoon, when I was resting after that extra race, I was almost asleep, and with no exaggeration, I felt my body going into these waves of decreasing acceleration, something like this, bloop, 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 bloop. No kidding. Down to the level of nothing. I bolted, sitting straight up, and all at the same time, intuitively knowing fully well what had just happened, I went into complete denial and then into full anxiety. I said, oh no. I said a little harsher word than that. I said, oh no, I just lost my peak. I lost my edge. I lost everything 6 days before my first Olympic race. But not just me, everyone on the team felt the same way. And if you know anything about how long it takes to get your peak back when done properly, oh, about 3 weeks. We had 6 days. I silently panicked, knowing all too well that the coaches didn't have a clue what had just happened. That was the national team coaches. Donnie wasn't a part of that coaching team. He was a much better coach. No, I'm just kidding. Whatever. Anyways, on the side, I silently panicked, knowing all too well that the coaches didn't have a clue what had just happened. I was so scared and so unhappy. But as I said, I put myself in denial, as if that works. And I forged on knowing I would give 100,000% into every race, regardless, hoping to get it back by some miracle. And to hopefully get the placing I came to the Olympics for, which for me was a top 10 placing, which of course included the top 3. And for Pierre, he was slated for the top 3 at these Olympics. That was our ranking and our true potential, and we had all intentions of doing it. But you cannot fight Mother Nature. When your body shuts down, it shuts down simply because it needs rest. The entire Olympic Games were a disaster for results for the entire team. Pierre's best placing was 14th, very respectable, but not the top 3, which he was more than capable of doing and came to the Olympics to achieve. My best placing was 32nd. Everyone else on the team placed further back than expected as well. It was heartbreaking. Do you know what it's like to race when you are flatter than flat and out of a peak? Anybody here know what it's like? Well, I'm going to tell you what it feels like. The determination of a high-performance athlete when faced with a race with a no-peak body is comparable to a caged lion wanting to get out and get her prey, but can't. No kidding. Every race I raced at those Olympic Games were beyond push. It feels like you are going head into a hurricane gale-force wind, or it feels like you're dragging an extra 50 pounds of weight behind you through the snow while giving 100% of everything you got, which is nothing. When the tank is empty, it's empty. But I tried. God knows I tried. Well, it doesn't stop there, believe it or not. In between those 4 races at the Olympic Games, after the first 2 races, with the poorest results ever. The coaches get another great idea, and they called a meeting and said to us, "You are just all psyched out because you're racing here at your Canadian Olympic Games. So we've decided that to help you get your edge back, we want you to race another extra training race just to perk you back up. It's what you need." What? Well, I guess that would have worked if that was the case, but it wasn't. I guess they just didn't see it. They just didn't get it. Doing that would be like squeezing the last bit of water, in this case, the last bit of blood, sweat, and tears, out of any rock that you've been beating down on all this time and getting nowhere and thinking or wishing that you would. It just didn't make any sense. Is this making sense to you? Well, they made us race that extra race. The rest of the games never got better. And for me, it was more heartbreaking than I can express. We all went to the closing ceremonies, and I just sat there dumbfounded. Actually, I was bawling my eyes out. I was thinking, what? The closing ceremonies? Already? But the Olympics didn't even happen yet. At least not the way I imagined anyways. And that's what denial will do to you. It was truly devastating. But you know how they say, good things always come out of adversity eventually. Well, yes, a good thing did come from it all. You know how I said it would take about 3 weeks to regain a peak level when done properly? Well, for Pierre, 3 weeks later, when we had the last 2 World Cup races left to go in the season, and guess what? Yes, he won them both. Yeah, I knew he had it in him. As for me, I guess I couldn't get my peak back properly done because I remained semi-flat for the rest of the season. Yes, those Olympics and a few other important events during my skiing career were heartbreaking and disappointing. But after all, it's just a race, isn't it? It's the kind of stuff that teaches you and makes you a better person if you let it. And when you come down to it, if it's only the recognition of success and achievement that I and all athletes want to obtain eventually, well, I have had more than enough recognition from my family and my friends and this community alone, reminding me of how much you all enjoyed watching my skiing career over those 16 years, and how it may have helped to inspire and encourage you to step out to make some of your own dreams come true. Now that is one of the best feelings of achievement there is. And I'm not done yet, sorry. Almost. And speaking of community support, something else so very special happened in 1987. It was such a great year. Tiny Township Mayor at that time was Morris Darby. He presented me with a road sign named after me, which most of you, if not all of you, know that it is on the corner of Highway 93 and Highway 12 on the old drive-in road. It's one of the longest names for any address to have. Poor folk who live on it. In fact, I had a friend who lived on that road for a long time, and she said to me at one time, she's still my friend, she said to me at one time, "On every damn envelope, I have to write your full name on it. What a pain in the butt." She said with a sweet smile, of course. I am forever grateful for all the love and support that I have felt and have gotten from all of you over the years. Going through all of the highs and lows during my years as an elite athlete, I couldn't have done it or achieved any of it without you. And I thank you all so very much from my bottom of my heart. Thank you. I have enjoyed presenting this to you. I hope you all have enjoyed it too. This has been very meaningful to me. And again, congratulations to everyone here tonight being inducted. Thank you all for coming out, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, time to meet our inductees. So, I'm looking for Summer DeChambeau Page. Where's Summer? Okay, come on up.
Thanks for joining us.
So a few words if I may. I'd like to share with you words describing Summer and her accomplishments. How about the words determined, incredibly focused? How about gold medal? The Summer Games, provincial team, Quebec tournaments, full scholarship, dedication, leadership, Buffalo University. How about the word volleyball? Summer DeChambeau Page, Midland is so proud. Thank you. Please come up to the stage and collect your plaque. The next inductee is someone you might all know because he's lived here all his life. Kenny Edgar is in the category of athlete, and he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Just stand up to your table right there, Kenny. I said stand up, Kenny. You know, folks, Kenny's been so thankful. He's been in my office 4 times in 3 days, and this is what I hear. These are his repeating words. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. I am going in the hall. That pretty much summarizes what Kenny's all about, that passion that when he dives into something and he likes something or whatever, you have to like him. You know, Kenny grew up in Midland back when kids played hockey in the winter and baseball in the summer. Kenny was a leader on all of his teams because his passion to give it his best all the time, quote, full out. For those that played men's baseball in a very competitive county league, imagine batting a 300 average. What about a 400 average? Pretty damn good. But Kenny finished the season with batting 500, something that's just unbelievable, and we have a hero here. While playing hockey, he would entertain the crowd with his full-out effort and his passion to win every game. Come on up to the stage and welcome to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame, Kenny.
You okay? Yeah, I'm okay.
You've heard this name a little earlier, and it's Joey Foster. Joey, can you stand up right there? That's Joey. Joey's another fabulous athlete, and I'd like to share his journey with you as well. Imagine being ranked second in the country cross skiing team, competing in the Nationals in Whistler, BC. Imagine winning 4 gold, 2 silver, and 2 bronze medals, while as a member of the Canadian junior team. Representing Canada at the World Juniors in Romania. How about races in Quebec City, Norway, Sweden, US? Joey's journey definitely speaks for itself. Will Joey please come up to the stage, and welcome to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame.
All right, I'm going to introduce somebody in the builder category. Our Midland Sports Hall of Fame Constitution defines what it takes to be entered into the hall under the builder category. It stipulates, builders shall be considered for induction for their work or contribution over an extended period of time to their sport or discipline. The work or contribution must have been significant and outstanding. So, the next inductee is Don Foster. Don. So Don, Mr. Foster, I had a whole bunch of nice things to say about you. They've all been said. If you're a lover of cross-country skiing and you've got a family farm that has some hills and some ravines that aren't farmable, wouldn't anybody just start a ski resort, a cross-country ski center? Which is what Mr. Foster did. His drive and his passion led to the development of the Mountain View Ski Center. It's grown to be a hub for cross-country skiing across Ontario, very popular with local ski programs for kids of all ages, a training center, and even a venue at one point for the National Junior Cross-Country Ski Championships. And as Angela has already mentioned, the Mountain View Ski Center now boasts, I had 35 kilometers, but I guess you've added some more, so apparently now it's up to 40. There's about 7 kilometers of snowshoeing trails, and during the summer non-skiing months, I guess it's used as a mountain bike mecca locally, so congratulations. So for his long-standing commitment to the development and training of skiers, his success as a coach, and his vision in developing the Mountain View Ski Center, please welcome to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame, Mr. Don Foster.
Yours, well deserved. Thank you.
Billy, we're going to get a picture over here.
The year is 1979. The top song in Canada was Supertramp's The Logical Song. The top movie was Superman, the one with Christopher Reeves, not those other dudes. And one of the most popular summer sports at the time in Midland and Penetang was ball hockey. Our next inductee basically had a vision for kids who liked ice hockey to be able to play in the summer months, except on a concrete arena floor. In 1979, he started the Midland Penetang Ball Hockey League. I personally had the pleasure of playing in that league way back when, and I can tell you that it was incredibly well organized. There were a lot of teams. It was tons of fun. We even had referees in striped shirts, believe it or not. The sport grew to an association with over 900 boys and girls, but Jamie didn't stop there. He brought his vision and expertise to the provincial, national, and international levels. He became the Ontario Ball Hockey Association Director. He became, also with the OBHA, he became a coaching and officiating director. He developed the national and international refereeing program and their rule book. He was recognized with the highest honor that can be given to an Ontario Ball Hockey Association member. He was given the Lifetime Achievement Award in 1993. So for 50 years of passion for the game and its growth locally but beyond, please welcome to the hall Mr. Jamie Robillard.
So good evening, all, and thank you to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame Committee for this honor. I take great pride in the honor of being inducted this evening with many other inductees that are more than deserving to be inducted. Got involved with ball hockey back in 1978, and it was really something that I started to do because we had played road hockey as kids when kids did play on the street, and it was safe. And we started a program in Penetang with some friends through school of different neighborhoods playing against each other. And the next logical choice was to go indoors. We didn't have to chase the ball down a hill or look out for cars or that type of thing. But at the time, we didn't have the opportunity to play because the Penetang Arena had a sand floor. The Midland Arena had been destroyed by a fire, so there was no place to play. And then in 1978, after my first year away at school, two friends of mine, Roger Dupuy and Ken Cannell, convinced me it was a great idea that we'd start ball hockey in Penetang. And we started with 8 teams, 4 from Midland, 4 from Penetang, men's teams, and things just started to go from there. So in the early days, the people I want to thank are Rob Sheneman, Paul Gravel, Bill Pettycombe, Neil Stats Ladisare, Marshall Robitoy, Sean Stewart, Rob Cascanet, and my brothers, Peter and David, who I think got dragged along reluctantly into the management side of the game, but did a great job. Upon my return to Penetang in 1990, Piper Merritt approached me and wanted to know if I would just help her with ball hockey. I thought, I could probably do that. It's 2 nights a week. It's not a big deal. And I got back involved with the kids' game in 1991. Tim Garrett then came along, started helping us with the game. We thought if we get 4 teams at every age, that'd be fantastic. Well, we blew way past that, and one year almost had 1,000 children playing the game. Other people that helped us during that time, Terry Carruthers and Mark Marchedeau, they were instrumental in helping us grow the game. Currently, in Penetang Machine, George Vadamoncourt, Nick Verishin, Adam Schaap, Ryan Granlund, Trish Larma, and Len Lefebvre have been instrumental in us continuing to present a fantastic program to the kids and the men that play in our program. There's a lot of women that play the game as well. I'm not involved with the women's game per se, but I've seen a lot of the players that play there develop through the youth program in Penetang and Midland. Of course, our referees and coaches who have been big helps from volunteering, because we can never run the program without those people, and they've made the program successful. My OBHA counterparts, one who's joined us tonight, Mauro Cugini, the OBHA president, very good friend. Ken White, who was the original president of the OBHA and my mentor way back in the 80s. Dominic DiGeronimo, Steven Skalitsky, and Kathy Vesser, among many others, have always been someone to go and talk to about the game. Of course, Ken Sanamaw, who's been with our program since almost day one, still is involved as a referee trainer in our program developed a very unique idea that we have headset training for young officials, giving them ideas of what they should be doing on the floor. Ken watches numerous games all the time and makes sure that our referees are in tune with what they should be doing. It's great to put a young 13 or 14-year-old official on the floor, but they may have the book training, but when you get out there and you're by yourself and you look around a full arena, it can be very intimidating for them. And Ken makes sure they get there. Of course, Tim Garrett, who's been with me, like I say, since '91, if you go to an arena in Penetangue or Midland during our season, you're going to see myself or you're going to see Tim. We're always there. We're there to answer questions. People say to me all the time, you know, don't you get a lot of complaints? And I say, no, we get very few. And the reason we get very few is, I believe, is because we are there. If someone has a question, they can ask us, and we answer almost immediately. We keep a problem from developing by just communicating with the players and their parents in a timely manner. Ball hockey, to me, was a spin-off of playing on the street, like I say. So it was a place to go and have fun. And that's what we try to instill in all of our players today. We have still a very large house league program with about 650 kids, and we're continuing to rebound each year from the COVID 2-year gap that we didn't have. But the biggest thing that makes ball hockey rewarding to me is seeing those kids come out of the rink after they play smiling. Because if they didn't have fun, they won't come back. And we offer a consistent program where they have the opportunity to have fun every time they play. And I look around the room here tonight, I see many people who either played the game themselves or their children have played in our program, and truly it's a great opportunity. Joey Foster played in our program for a number of years. It's been something that I've had the opportunity to see kids become young men, young women, start families of their own. We're a 3rd-generation league now, and we're really close to being a 4th-generation league. It's going to happen in the next few years. We've also managed to do something that sports should do. We brought together the communities of Penetangue, Midland, and Ellenvale, Tiny and Tay, and some players from other surrounding municipalities who, once you get them working together, it's amazing what you can accomplish. We've won more than our fair share of provincial championships. I couldn't even guess how many without actually counting them. And for a small community to go and play Belleville, Toronto, London, and our kids come out on top, and it happens all the time. It's amazing. When I talk to 8-year-olds getting the chance to go to their first provincials, and I tell them, hey, you have a chance to be the #1 team in Ontario, they really don't believe me because they have no appreciation of what they can accomplish. And I remember a group of players that were born 1985 that went to their first provincials, and I believe Tim helped coach that team. We scored 1 goal, gave up 39 goals in 3 games. And they were down in the dumps when they came home. And I told them, don't be down in the dumps, we're just gonna work hard and we're gonna get better. And 12 players from that team ended up winning a bronze medal at nationals 14 years later. And what that did for our program was it gave us exposure. And then we started getting the best athletes in the area to play the game. It really has shown what we can accomplish if players work hard with the right mentoring. Charlie Dyer said to me back in 1978 that I would learn more about life running a ball hockey program than I could do working or going to school. And he's not necessarily wrong. Charlie played for a long time in our program. Many would have told him that he had his best years before he stopped playing. But he always wanted the program to succeed. He worked really hard with our kids and got us to where we are today, along with the other people I mentioned earlier. We've made a few mistakes along the years, but we've learned from them and we've improved. And without doing those things, Angela spoke about disappointments. Disappointments, I mean, I talk about all the teams that won. We've had many more teams that have not won. But at the same time, every year our kids come back wanting to play and improve. Could not have happened without the support of my family. My parents, Raymond and Pauline Rubior, taught us the values, myself and my two brothers, growing up, that I'd like to impact on kids. You know, it's really something when I see somebody now who I might have had involved with ball hockey 20 years ago, and they come up to me and they say, hey, you know, Jamie, and I'm trying to figure out who they are because they don't look like they did 20 years ago. But they remember playing the game and how much fun it was. And that really is something to see. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Elaine, who's watched more ball hockey than she ever wanted to in her life. In Penetanguishene and Midland, around the province, at different national championships, in Europe. She's gone to all these rinks. She doesn't really remember where they are, but she knows she was there. And without her support, I couldn't do what I do now. And you know, having that opportunity to continue to do it, I was fortunate during my years when I was employed, before I retired, that I had a couple of bosses that were great. Jerry Light and Dave Turner, who allowed me to, you know, get away sometimes from work a little bit early to be able to help these kids develop. My daughters, Jamie and Megan, for understanding that sometimes ball hockey schedules had to take priority over some things that we had to do. But fortunately, my 4 grandchildren have played in the program. A couple of them are too old to continue playing youth ball hockey. A couple are just starting. But, you know, it's funny because it brings me back to 7 years old and 9 years old at Jeffrey Street, just starting to play road hockey. So it's been a great ride. I hope to do it for a few more years as long as I'm able to. And once again, I want to thank the Midland Sports Hall of Fame for this honor.
It's now my pleasure to announce a builder in the name of Frank Woodley. Hello, where's Frank? Stay there, Frank, if you can for a minute. Do you want me to come over to you? In 1976, Frank became the coach, trainer, fundraiser, motivator, and cheerleader with the Midland Kegos swim team. 1989, awarded Top Coach of the Year. 1992, awarded Outstanding Contribution and Dedication to the Sport of Swimming. 1999, Frank received the Rotary Club Coaching Award. And I recall many times hearing Frank's booming voice echoing within the pool area while he was coaching the Kegos. Please welcome Frank Woodley to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame.
All right, we're going to move right along to the team category. I'm going to read a quote that I think should be something said to all coaches to inspire young boys and girls when their kids playing hockey. It is, go out and have fun, and let's see what happens. Who said that? Doug Orr, Bobby's dad. So the year is 1957. This group of 8 and 9-year-olds went out and had fun, and look what they did. They won their second consecutive Little NHL Junior A Provincial Championship. There were over 400 players all the way from Toronto to Parry Sound, well into Cobourg. And if you wonder what kind of skill level a group of 8 and 9-year-olds can have, let me put your mind at ease. Wayne Carlton, who had a long, successful NHL career, and arguably the greatest hockey player of all time, Bob Orr, both played in that hockey tournament. So back then, as it is now, winning a provincial championship is a pretty big deal in Midland. And tradition was that you'd get paraded around the town on the top of a red fire truck. So those boys had that experience. So welcome the 1957 Midland Lions hockey team to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame. The team members included, and you can start coming up if you want, David Brooks, Randy Small, Doug Taylor, Short John Swan, Tall John, Wayne Holden, Dennis Abbott, Tom Gray, Chester Graham, Alan Mostyn, Robert Weckman, Jim Tippin, accepting will be Brenda Faultless, Earl Scott, Keith Bath, Bobby Clayton, Doug French, Greg Summers. The team was coached by Reverend Len Self, accepting Kennedy Self, Tom Scott, Don Pringle, Frank Graham, accepting will be Chester Graham, and Bill Brooks.
That's right. What's that, block? Oh my goodness. Okay. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Our speech is short.
All right, also in the team category, the next inductee are the 1989 Midland Braves Intermediate Lacrosse team. Now, if any of you play golf, you've probably seen the Robin Williams, perhaps one of the greatest comedians in our age, talk about his analysis of a golf game. I didn't know this, but apparently he also made a reference to lacrosse. Somebody asked him if he had ever seen lacrosse, and in typical Robin Williams fashion, he responded, "Of course I have. I saw it in La Church." If you ever watch a lacrosse game, you realize very quickly it's one hell of a tough game. There's hitting, body checking, smashing of opposing players with a lacrosse stick, and that's all acceptable as part of the game. Conn Smythe, who was the former hockey player, former owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and a builder of Maple Leaf Gardens, and more importantly, a decorated war veteran from 2 world wars, once said, "If I ever have to go to war again, I'm bringing lacrosse players." The 1989 Braves team not only was tough, but they were also talented. They won a number of big tourneys that year with a limited number of players. The details of their great run, I think, have been all in the booklets for you to read. Through their dedication and hard work, the team ultimately went on to win the Provincial Division B championship. From what I understand, they were 1 overtime goal away with 3 seconds left to actually possibly win the Division A championship. So welcome, gentlemen, to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame. Team members are Wayne Desjardins, Harvey Hervu, Tom Lediard, Chuck Lair, Jim Pottage, Sean Price, Dave Banks, John Brophy, Sean Lunny, Craig Selma, Rob Bianco, Chris Walzer, coached by Ross Compton. Gentlemen, if you'd come up now, please. I was a little afraid none of them showed up.
Good? Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. You done? Thank you, Kelly. It's now the last inductee of the night, and I'd like to talk about Dr. Richard Thomas in the Special Recognition Award. This year marks 43 years that Richard has been a doctor. During those years, yes, celebration for sure there. During those years, Richard was on the medical team helping the women's national hockey team in 1997 at the World Championships. He provided medical expertise at the World Triathlon Championship in England and at the Canada Winter Games in Newfoundland. And finally, Pan American Games in Indianapolis and Cuba in 1991.
Wow.
Dr. Richard Thomas plays many sports, excelling in the rugby world and being inducted into the Queen's University Rugby Hall of Fame. Doc has also helped out the Ontario Provincial Rugby Team and for the Midland and Penetang Junior C hockey teams with his medical expertise. Doc never hesitates to help with a diagnosis when a buddy goes down while playing hockey, skiing, rugby, golf, pickleball, bike riding. Doc is there.
Yeah.
Please welcome Dr. Richard Thomas to the stage to pick up his plaque, and welcome to the Midland Sports Hall of Fame. Buzz, one of our founders, has a few words to say.
This, 30 years ago, this was a dream that Danny Woods and I had of getting the Sports Hall of Fame, with never thinking that it would go this far. And it's just, thank God for guys like Chester Graham that picked up the slack when I couldn't come back and forth from New York all the time. And I remember coming back to Midland, and I turned pro in 1960. I come back to Midland, I hadn't been back for quite a while, and I saw Angela Smith's Foster Road. And I said, oh boy, that's nice, they named a street after somebody in Donnie's family that passed away. I had no idea who Angela Smith Foster was, right? So I know who she is now. She's a great athlete. But all the people, I'm going to be 85 in 2 months. And I come home as many times as I can. I don't know how many more times I can. I work a full-time job. I coach, my 56th year of coaching youth hockey. And everything I have out of life comes from Midland minor hockey, Penetang machine hockey, gentlemen like the Wilcox family and Reverend Leonard Self. Reverend Self, he set a path for us young guys in Midland and Penetang, that the ones that followed are very successful people, and we've had a wonderful life. Everything I have in life comes from the game of hockey, and I've been awarded many, many awards just trying to be a kid from Midland, Penetang. So thanks for supporting this. This hall's in great shape with Todd as your leader and his other committees. So I'm glad everybody had a good night. And congratulations.
We hope you had a great time, and congratulations to the new inductees, and a special thank you to our nominators. Good night.